Hello, Sebastian Lucido here, and welcome to 5 Minute Fresh Start. I'm in 2 Samuel 12, verse 14. It says, "Howbeit, because of this deed, you have given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord. The child who is born to you shall surely die." Then Nathan departed from his house. And so this is Nathan the prophet speaking to David about the child he had with Bathsheba. And the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bore to David, and it became ill. David therefore pleaded with God for the child. David fasted, went in and laid all night on the ground, so that the elders of the house arose and went to him to raise him up from the ground, but he would not, nor did he eat food with them. Then on the seventh day it came to pass that the child died. So after the child died, David wept and mourned, and was fasted for these 7 days. So now the child died. Then on the seventh day it came to pass that the child died, and the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child died, for they said, "Indeed, while the child was alive, we spoke to him. He would not heed our voices. How can we tell him that the child is dead? He may do something harmful." In other words, they said, "Look at how bad he's taking this death. And, we don't want to tell him because we're afraid to tell him because he might really, really overreact and harm himself." Verse 19, "Then David saw the servants that they were whispering, perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said to his servants, 'Is the child dead?' They said to him, 'He is dead.' So David arose from the ground, washed and anointed himself, changed his clothing, and he went into the house of the Lord and worshiped. So David got up, cleaned himself off, and the first thing he did was he ran to God. Okay, we're going to look at that. Then he went into his own house. When he had requested that they set food before him, he ate. So he got on with his life. And his servant said to him, 'What is this that you have done? You fasted and wept for the child while he was alive, but when the child died, you rose and ate food.' David said to them, 'While the child was alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, who can tell whether the Lord would be gracious to me?' I remember the Lord said that the child would die through the prophet, that the child may live. But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Can I bring him back to me? I shall go to him. He shall not come back to me." Very important words. Then David comforted his wife Bathsheba, his wife. He went in, laid with her. She bore a son, called his name Solomon, and now the Lord loved him. And so I want to talk to you today about physical death. This is quite long, so I want to get through this pretty quickly. We all will suffer death. I mean, we're all going to die, right? But those around us are as well. And so there is a time, usually at the funeral or the wake, there's a time of reflection on the person's life, the person that passed, their life, whether they were, their attributes, what they did on earth, a good mom, good dad, just great things that person may have done. And, part of this is remembering their impact on our lives and honoring them. And I don't want to make light of this, but we do this, and we're hurt by it. It doesn't take the sting of death away. I mean, death has a sting attached to it that's extremely painful. But I want you to look at the process that David went through here, because it's sort of the opposite of what we do as humans. The Bible tells us that we have hope in the afterlife. We believe. Every time you go to church, you're saying, "I believe in eternity," right? So here's what David did. And I don't want to make light of grieving, but this is an exaggerated example. What he did first was he ran to God. He wasn't bitter, hurt, or regret that he prayed for the child and the child died. He ran to God. No matter what the circumstances were, he ran to God. He knew that the child was with God. He said, what good now is it for me to fast and pray when the child is in the arms of God and I'm going to see him again? In other words, he knew that, in burying the child, that he was going to see that child again in his eternity. He then moved on in life. He ate, he went back to life. And this is something that we all have to do. While we, bury friends, I buried a friend, his wife and his children are still here. They still have life in front of them. The children still have to go to school. Decisions have to be made. So we have to get on in life. We have to normalize our lives and realize that the community around us still needs us. And so it's very important while we reflect and remember, we're not disregarding, we just know they're in a better place with God. We need to continue to life and live and continue to enhance the people's lives around us. Grieving beyond measure causes everybody to come down. They need us. And so we have to shake it and we have to move on. God is still on the throne. He still has plans for us, and we still have to fulfill his purposes and calls. Well, I went over today in my message. Anyway, God bless you guys. I pray that God's face would shine upon you. Have a great, great day, and thanks for watching.